Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. Here is your host, Andy Ruther.
Welcome to the Andy Ruther Show. That is me, your host, Andy Ruther. What is good today? Tonight, this evening, almost a new day. What's good, guys? It's a late one tonight. Almost 11:30 here from Cincinnati here. Anyway, we are what are we in? Day 5? Day 5 of being a new dad? Or two-time dad? I'm not a new dad. I'm a two-time dad. Back to back. I need a back-to-back girl dad shirt. You get the back-to-back world champs. I'm a back-to-back girl dad. Yeah, son. Yeah, so I'm in day 5. Day 5 of being a two-time dad, and it's going pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm on very little sleep the last 5 days. Probably, I don't know. If I had to say, since Saturday, tonight is late Thursday. Since Saturday, I don't know. Maybe on average, I've gotten about 4 hours of sleep a day. But do what you gotta do, right? So here I am, guys. I got a new baby girl who is hopefully asleep with mama up there in her SNOO. We're renting this thing called look. I am so far in the dad world now. You guys who don't have kids are like, what is he talking about? I didn't even know about this thing until yesterday. It's called a SNOO, and it's a bassinet, but it moves, right? So it moves, and if the kid cries, it moves more. So it's basically like a rocker. People live by these things. They're next level. They're like $1,600. These things, SNOO. We're renting one from a woman in our area for $100 a month. Let me pull this thing up. Hopefully you guys have any interest in this. This SNOO. Let's see here what we got here. Let's show some videos of the SNOO. Demo by my SNOO. Why we love our SNOO. Okay. Let's just pull this up. So, by the way, they must be just making a killing on this thing. All right. So this is the SNOO. This is, let me share my screen here. Okay. So this is the SNOO right here.
Hey guys, welcome back. As you see, I am in my
The
guest
SNOO.
bedroom with the SNOO because I wanted to come back.
We're going to mute you because we don't really have to care what you have to say. But this is the SNOO. So literally, it's just a bassinet that moves. So she, stupid ads. Hold on, I'm trying to show you what to do. Let me get through this ad. So she uses a black baby doll, which hold on, is that racist? Is this a black baby doll? Can you do you can't do blackface now. Can you do black baby doll face? what is going is this? It sounds like a white woman. Let me unmute it for a second. This sounds like a white woman, right?
You're supposed to put the baby in the bassinet, safest for baby, especially if it's moving.
That's a white
You
woman,
can
right?
lock this so that
That's a
it
white
does
woman.
not move, so you can use it as a stationary bassinet if your baby didn't like the movement.
So basically, it just rotates. It just moves, and I guess what it does is that if the baby starts crying, it rotates more to calm them. And there's different settings, and I don't know, guys. I'm new to this game. The gimmicks now. What a great business to be in, by the way. What a wonderful business to be in is the baby business, because there's so many products now. We have a baby Brezza, which makes the formula we got as a gift, the best gift that we've ever got. We got that when Isla was born. We now have a baby Brezza bottle cleaner, and these things are not cheap. I think the baby Brezza is like $250. I think the bottle cleaner, which also was a gift from Brittany's friends to her before we had Molly. By the way, that's our girl's name. Might as well announce it. Molly June Ruther. That's what we went with. So I'm happy with it. Brittany was happy with it. So June is after her grandmother. Rest in peace. And she liked the name Molly. So I said, let's do it. You don't hear as many Mollys now. A lot more common when I grew up. But Molly June Ruther was born 8:49 a.m. Saturday. And now she's rocking in a $1,600 SNOO that I'm renting. But anyway, that's like a huge business. Like, and I was telling Brittany tonight, I said, look at this thing. This thing is made in China. It's like, I'm not an expert at this stuff, but I can tell it wasn't that expensive to make. The return on investment for this thing must be insane for this company. But brilliant idea, right? A little rotating bassinet that has a sensor on it to adjust to if the baby being fussy. And it's basically hooked in. The baby's kind of like hooked in through their when the swaddling. I don't know all the terms and all that stuff, but all I know is we put Molly in it tonight, and it's the first night, and she was loving it. She wasn't waking up, so she's been a good kid. But yeah, man, the business, like the baby business, is booming. I'm new to this. I'm 2 years new. The baby business is booming. That's a good business to be in. You want to become a billionaire? Create a SNOO. You want to make a lot of money, also probably pay a lot of money in insurance, run a daycare. What are they making? Hand over fist at those daycares. A bottle cleanser, a bottle cleaner, the baby Brezza. Something that makes your formula. Another baby Brezza is just killing the game out here. All these things I know about. So that's a good business to be in. But Brady's mom was giving us shit. She was like, back in my day, you didn't have things to clean your bottles. You didn't have things to make the formula. I was like, okay, boomer. Cool, boomer. Well, guess what? In my day, we do have this. And I get sick of washing bottles. Molly eats every 3 hours. And there's a million different parts on these Dr. Brown's bottles. I don't want to be doing that. Time is money, right? I don't want to be doing that. That's 8 bottles a day. And it's not just a bottle. There's no lie. Let's see here. There's the cap, there's the nipple, there's the filter, there's the other there's like 5 parts of this thing. You got to clean through each of them. You want to be sanitary, right, for your kid, because it's a baby. You don't want to give them germs or any diseases or bacteria. So I don't know, do the math. Let's say it takes me, if you want to do it good, and you should, let's say it takes you 10 minutes. Let's just do the math real quick. Let's say it takes you 10 minutes to clean, probably longer, to be honest, probably maybe 20 to clean 8 bottles every day. 20 minutes times 7 days in a week. That's 140 minutes. So we're now at 140 minutes. We're at 2 hours and 20 minutes a week times so many months. Like, dude, it adds up is all I'm saying. So she can say we're soft, and we are softer. She was giving us hell the other day saying you guys are soft. We are softer. I was like, and you're softer than your parents. That's how it works. Each generation gets softer. Also, we have technology. Why wouldn't I take advantage of it? Every generation has more advanced technology. Why wouldn't I take advantage of it? If I can get this many more minutes or hours back in my week to pay $250 for something that does work for me, and if that makes sense financially, or in our case, it was a gift in both of them, why would I not take advantage of it? Why wouldn't I take advantage of it? Yeah, call me soft. Cool. Right now, while I'm doing this show, something's cleaning my baby bottles, which I don't want to do. Again, 8 in a day. Do the math. But anyway, she was calling us soft, and I was like, yeah, I know I'm softer than you. I know that. I know I'm softer than my mom. My mom had 5 kids. She didn't have a SNOO. She didn't have a baby Brezza. She had her hands and a brush and a wooden spoon when we got out of line. That's what my mom had. I know I'm softer, and I know the next generation after me is going to be even softer. But, that's what happens. We're happy. We're happy. She's been a chill kid. Knock on wood so far. She's been a very sweet sleeping baby. I mean, guys, for any parents out there, if your kid doesn't sleep or is fussy or needs to be held, that is hell. That's how Isla was. It was not easy. She was not an easy baby. You literally, we couldn't sit in bed if I was holding her watching a show. Like that was too much for her. You had to have the TV off. Molly will sit through 20 straight episodes of some terrible reality TV show that Brittany's watching. Like she's been amazing. Again, it's early, right? It's early. We've had her home now for this is her 4th night since we had to get back from the hospital. But the point is, I think early on, she might not even need the SNOO, but she's got the SNOO. I just like saying the word SNOO. It's a great word, but she's been chill. But it was a roller coaster ride, man. The day she was born, we had the C-section scheduled Saturday morning at 8:00, and they were pretty much on time. I was surprised, but I you know what? This is the second C-section I've witnessed, and the last time I didn't look up. I didn't look up at all, but this C-section, dude, if you guys think about it, it's insane what we do. Now I'm way more fascinated and interested. And so I did look up. So just for a visual, they're operating on Brittany. I'm behind her. I'm holding her hand. Like I'm like her face is over here on my side. She's obviously lying on a table. And then right kind of next to me is the anesthesiologist. And dude, you know what's fascinating? They literally are slicing her open just across her stomach and moving organs around to pull a baby out. Think about that. That's insane. They're just moving big old organs around and pulling out my little girl who was 7 pounds, 12 ounces. So like a decent size, especially with her being 3 weeks early, 37 weeks old. They're just moving. And here's what I'm amazed about. It's not that long of a surgery. It's like 30 minutes. And the first time we had this, it was more of a rushed C-section. I wouldn't necessarily say emergency, but it wasn't planned. And I was on edge and on eggshells. Not that I wasn't this time, but my point is I was more in the moment and fascinated by what was going on. The anesthesiologist is playing music. I guess he asked Brittany what type of music, and she's like, "Yeah, I like, she likes rap." So he's playing like it was weird. He was playing Drake, which not my choice, DJ choice. He had a Drake song going on while they're slicing and dicing her open. I'm like, is my kid gonna be born to Drake? But he was all over the map. A little Post Malone, I think some Waka Flocka. But my point is, they're just casually cutting open a body while Drake's playing and then just talking, the doctors and the nurses. And that's what's fascinating to me. It's just like, dude, you're literally pulling a child out of my fiance's stomach and just being so cavalier and casual about it. Again, we talk about each generation, and just the wonders of medicine is remarkable. And then I went on a deep dive. I went on a deep dive this week about C-sections. I'm like, when do they start doing these, man? This is fascinating. Dude, they go as far back as like 750 BC. Now, they used to do it to just save the child. The woman never lived. But I believe if I read Wikipedia, and who knows the accuracy of this, but the first known woman to survive a C-section, I think, was around like the 1500s. And this became pretty normal, or at least way more normal, I believe, in like the 1960s. right? I feel like it's pretty normal. I don't know what percentage of births are C-section, but I would assume it's pretty high at this point. Like everybody knows somebody who's had a C-section. But it's insane. Again, they're just casually doing this. And then our doctor, our OBGYN, who I love, by the way, he, he was like, if you guys want a third, everything's looking good down there. Just so like he's casually talking to us about if we want to have a third while he's moving organs around and pulling out a child. It's wild. Love our doctor, by the way. He I'm not gonna say his name. Great dude, great doctor, love the dude. But I told Brittany this. He's a gay dude, and I said I trust him a lot. Not only do I like him, and he's been our doctor. He didn't do the C-section the first time. It didn't work out his schedule, but he's been her OBGYN. And I said, you know why I like him? A lot of gay dudes are repulsed by vaginas. Like my gay buddies in LA, a lot of them would be like, "Ugh, vaginas are so gross. Ugh, disgusting." Or whatever stereotypical gay voice I'm gonna do. But they were repulsed. And I'm like, this guy chose looking at vaginas and dealing with vaginas for a profession. So I trust him. Like, he's a dude who doesn't like vaginas outside of work. So he must really like them enough to choose this job, to look at vaginas all the time. Like he's looking at a lot of nasty vaginas, a lot of gross vaginas. He's doing C-sections, which is not pretty, cutting women open. Every gay dude I know would be repulsed by that, but he's like, no, man, I'm into it. So great dude, great doctor. We we like him. You know what I told him? I was like, dude, you need a walk-up song, man. I told him this before the surgery. I was like, you need like you're coming in to pull out a baby. You need a walk-up song. What would your walk-up song? You need smoke shooting off. You need fireworks, maybe. Dude, you're walking into the room. What you're doing is way cooler than a guy walking up to bat in a baseball game or walking on the football field. You need a walk-up song, man. He got a kick out of that. But everything went great. C-section went great, and it was cool to view. I got a lot of pictures because I don't take any, but the anesthesiologist, I'm probably saying that wrong every time. He took a lot of pictures, and the nurses, I just gave them my phone, and they took pictures, and yeah, had a few bumps though. Had a few bumps, guys. Going into this, both Brittany and I were on eggshells just because Isla did 13 days in the NICU. And any parent knows who's had a child in the NICU, that's the hardest thing ever. You have this wonderful thing of life and your child, and there's no emotions that can describe when you see your child for the first time. And I'm obviously an emotional person, and it's so overwhelming. It's the best feeling ever. And obviously I cried seeing both of my kids. Just because it's such a powerful thing. It's a part of you. You know you're not going to be here forever, and it's just you're passing this down and legacy and just bloodline. I think men look at it a lot of times from that viewpoint, but all these emotions, and to have your child then taken out of your hands and put in the hospital is tough, and that was really tough for us, and it's tough to see it. So we were on eggshells walking into this, and that's all we just kept saying is we don't want to see our kid in the NICU. We don't want to see our kid in the NICU again. And the night before, I know Brittany barely slept. We had to get up at about 5 a.m., left the house, had to arrive at the hospital at 6 a.m. So she didn't sleep. She was nervous. I actually slept decently, but I was nervous. You know, you have all this anxiety. Again, they're literally cutting her open. Things can arise, complications can happen. You routinely hear about C-section so much, but anything could happen. It's a surgery. It's a in-depth surgery. So I had all those feelings, and they pulled out Molly, and everything looked fine. And they take her over, and they said, "Oh, she needs some oxygen. She's not breathing the best on her own." And I'm over there, and I'm just like, "Oh, okay, what's going on here?" And I noticed she still needs the CPAP machine longer, and I'm like, "Oh no." And then I'm kind of walking back and forth in the surgery room, and I keep sitting back down next to Brittany, and then a bunch of women walk in, or I wouldn't say rush in, but they come in, and I'm like, "Great." I knew it. I said, "Here we go again. This isn't good." And sadly, I just knew from seeing that with Isla the first time, with both my parents, when you see a bunch of medical people rush in the room, it's never good. It's never good. So they all came in, and I don't know if it was a nurse practitioner or a doctor, and she walked over, and she said, Brittany's still on the operating table, and she said, she's not getting enough oxygen on her own. She's going to have to go to the NICU. And I just said underneath my, I'm in full scrubs and a mask. I just said, fucking shit. And I was sad, man. I was crying again, and I was just like, I don't want to do this again. And I know, look, I have perspective. I know she could have been born with a million different things that could have been worse, or some sort of deformity or any issue. I just, from a selfish standpoint, I was like, I just don't want to do this again. Now, last time we had her for a few hours, and then her temperature dropped, and all those complications went from there. So she was taken to the NICU probably about 3 or 4 hours after we had her. Now, this time was different. Brittany didn't even get to hold her, which is tough. They said you can hold her for like literally 10 seconds, but we got to take her to the NICU. So she needed a CPAP machine to breathe because her breathing wasn't there. She wasn't getting enough oxygen. And here we are. Brittany's just had a surgery. She can't go. So it's similar to the first time where Brittany's then left in the room by herself. They're wheeling Brittany into the recovery room. And then I'm going with the nurses and Molly, who didn't have a name at this point, for the record. I'm going with her to the NICU. And I'm like really down, as you can imagine. Now, look, I have experience, so that helps. Like, I've been in the NICU. I know how amazing they are. The best doctors. They really are. The best nurses. I can't say enough good things about the NICU. It's tough emotionally. It's draining physically. But the care that Isla received at St. Elizabeth in Edgewood, Kentucky, where we did the birth again, was top notch. I can't say enough about those doctors and those women who work in the NICU, the nurses. Absolutely amazing. So I knew that, you know that, but again, it's not mentally, it's not good. You don't feel good about it. So we go to the NICU, and then they put her on the CPAP machine, which is not easy. Isla never had to have that. So they're putting the breathing mask on her. And for me, I had PTSD. The last two people that I loved that I saw that were my mom and my dad on the breathing mask. And sadly, like, I know just from looking at the monitor, I just know from my parents, she's like, well, this is what the oxygen saturation level is at. This is what it's like. I know this stuff just from dealing with my parents. And it's tough. It's tough to see a tiny little baby with an oxygen mask. That's not easy. It's not easy at all. Like, Brittany told me later on, don't send this to my dad, because he's not, that's going to be too tough for him to see a little baby with an oxygen mask. So I hung out there for a bit, and then I went back to the recovery room to see Brittany. And again, remember, she like the surgery, she can't get up, guys. So she can't even go see Molly. And they're like, we'll check later in the day, like, because she's had so many drugs right, for the surgery. Like, she can't even feel her legs. So she actually didn't get to see and hold Molly till about 6 p.m. The C-section was at 8. So it was like 10 hours later. She didn't get to see Molly. And we were going to wait to decide on a name until Brittany got to hold her. So anyway, that's how that all went the day of the birth. And the good news was that it was just her breathing. And the doctor who I knew from Isla's stay said, look, man, there's no other complications. And this is very common. She's 3 weeks early. She was a C-section baby. This is fairly common, man. So just relax. We're going to put a feeding tube in her. She's got to eat. And obviously she can't eat with an oxygen mask over her. So we're going to put a feeding tube in her. Hopefully she takes that. Hopefully her test, her blood work isn't bad. And if she can get the breathing down, things are looking up. And sure enough, man, I went over. Obviously, I was checking in on her every few hours. I've learned just staying there. I just knew this from Isla. I can't do anything. So I was in the room a lot trying to be moral support for Brittany. And I was like, let's just watch some of these NFL playoff games. And what was it, Saturday? It was after the Lions Commanders game. I was exhausted. Brittany was exhausted. Neither of us have really slept. We got very little sleep the night before. I said, you know what? I'm going to go check on Molly. I'm going to check on Molly before bed. And I go over there about 11 p.m. Saturday night. And the night nurse who just started her shift goes, everything improved. I took her off the CPAP machine about 40 minutes ago. And I was turned. I was like, my girl Moles. That's my girl. Already off the CPAP. We're going to see how it plays out. She's been off it for 40 minutes. So I called Brittany, which realistically I should have just texted her. She probably thought something was wrong. I said, Molly's off. She's off the oxygen. She's breathing on her own. She doesn't need assistance. Let's go. She just took her first bottle. No more feeding tube. Apparently she ripped it out. She's like, I'm done with this. I got that dog in me. Oh, 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 oh. So she took her first bottle. She's off the CPAP. Brittany's like, I got to see her. And I was like, whoa, you can't go anywhere. Like, let me walk. Because Brittany still has to be in a wheelchair. I'm like, let me get you. Brittany's like, I got to see her. I'm going to call for a wheelchair. And I go back from the NICU back to the recovery room. Brittany's already in the hallway, like standing in her, hospital gown. She's got a wheelchair on her own. She's like, I was gonna walk. Like, this is where Molly gets that dog in her. Gets it from mom. I was like, no. You do not walk. You're not. I mean, it was pretty close by. I was like, you do not walk. I'm gonna push you. And I put her in the wheelchair, and we couldn't have been happier, guys. She was off the CPAP. She was eating on her own, and they're like, we're just gonna play it by ear and see how it goes. And I crashed hard that night. Brittany got up at 5 a.m. to feed baby girl. Went back in at 8 a.m. And sure enough, man, when the doctor did rounds at 9 a.m., he says, she's looking good. She's been breathing on her own for, 11 hours now. She's been taking her feedings well. You guys are going to get her out of here. So it was a short stay in the NICU. It was about 24 hours. She got out about 10 a.m. the next day. So it was a short-lived 24 hours, which was the best. Like, I was on cloud 9. We were both on cloud 9. Now we had to stay because you have the minimum 2-day stay when you have a C-section for the woman. But I was on cloud 9 that the second night I got to hold my baby girl all night. Right? You got to be with Molly the whole time. Like that was a great feeling. And then we got out of the hospital the next day. So it's just a normal, like, 2-day stay. She had 1 day in the NICU, and we were on our merry way out of there Monday afternoon about 12:30 p.m. It was great. That was the experience, man. It was a whirlwind. It's like you almost black out because so much is happening and there's just so much going on. And it was just it was a good experience. I minus the NICU. Obviously, that's not fun. But again, having perspective, there was a baby right by Isla, Molly. God, I'm doing it, guys. I'm doing this already. How many times am I going to call Isla Molly and Molly Isla? I only got 2 kids. I've been doing this since Molly was born. I keep calling her Isla. I keep doing it. Anyway, there was a 28-week-old baby by Molly where they did an emergency C-section because the mother's health. She's a 2.5-pound baby. Just tiny, like this little tiny thing. So again, it's perspective. That baby's going to spend months in the NICU. Months. All we dealt with it was a day. Or even Isla, all we had was 13 days. Again, I'm not saying it's easy to have a kid ever in the NICU, but I got to have perspective, and I think that's important. So we were geeked. We were real geeked. I got to spend Sunday with Isla, head back to my house. Trying to prepare. Like, how do you prepare? How do you prepare a 23-month-old kid? You got a sister now. She's coming home. And I'll tell you what, she was sweet and a little timid at the hospital when she met her. The next day was the funniest thing ever. Monday, I pick up Isla from daycare. I bring her back home. Molly's in the swing in our living room. Isla walks in. She's on edge. She sees Molly, and verbatim, she looks at Molly and says, "I don't like it." Not I don't like her. I don't like it. Molly was not even assigned a gender. She was an it. And she was not having it. And when Molly would cry, she would go nuts. Isla hated it. She hated it. She was a mixture of scared and concerned. That was Monday. Dude, she's great now. It's so funny how much kids change. Now she's always helping us, trying to bring her bottles, trying to bring her burp cloths, trying to bring her pacifiers. Now she doesn't like the crying. The crying scares her a little and she gets very concerned. But now it's okay, Molly. It's okay. It's the cutest thing ever for me as a parent. Seeing my little girl stick up for my other little girl. It's the cutest thing ever. And she's sweet. Now she's a mess too because she every night now, minus one night, is needed comfort in the middle of the night, which she hasn't needed forever. I think I don't know what it is. That she's just attached. It's attachment issue. I don't know. But overall, she's handling. I mean, look, dude, it's hard, man. She's not 2 years old. She's not even 2 years old. And there's this other thing that's given attention from mommy and daddy. So, it's going to be an adjustment for her. But I think overall, she's managed it pretty good. And look, the sleep thing, I'll deal. It's just part of it, man. It's part of it. There's no better thing than being a parent. And I know that might sound cliche or corny, but it's the best thing ever. So sleep, like you can get that back at a certain point. You can deal with the lack of sleep. And I'm happy, man. I look at my life and I think it's a good way to look. I look at my life in like 5-year increments, 10-year increments. Like it's 2025 and I always say, what was I doing in 2010? What was I doing? Okay, I was working at Hotel Oceana in Santa Monica. I was doing a bunch of fraternity shows. I was booking tours. They would let me leave for a month, a couple months, whatever it was, doing stand up, working as a waiter, working as a bartender at the hotel. That was 2010. That was 15 years ago. 2015, fast forward, I just started working for Lance Bass in 2015. on Sirius XM. Dirty Sports was about a year in, January 2015. Dirty Sports is a year in. I got hired to work, a full-time job for Lance. We used to record out of his house. So that's 10 years ago. 2020. My mom had just died. Dirty Sports at this point was going on strong for 6 years. This is right before the pandemic. I'm emotionally a wreck. I'm trying to kind of get my pieces together when I'm back in LA after my mom passes. That's 2020. Fast forward to 2025. I got my own house. I got my own girl. I got 2 little baby girls. It's viewing like, where am I at? Where do I want to be at in 5 years from now? Where do I want to be at 10 years from now? I think it's really important to evaluate yourself, and I'm happy. I'm in a much better place every 5 years, whether it's professionally or personally. I'd say I'm at a much better place, and to me, it's a good way to view things. It's a good way to look at things. It's easy to compare yourself to other people, and I think we all fall into that trap. But I'd always say, compare yourself to yourself. That's what I try to do. Don't compare myself to what other comedians were doing or other people in LA are doing, or even my buddies here in Cincinnati or my college buddies. How are they doing professionally? How much money do they make? How many kids do they have? What house do they live in? Where are they at mentally, or whatever it is? Don't compare to them. Compare to myself. Am I better than I was in 2010? Am I better than I was in 2015? And so on. And just kind of look at it. Or am I better this year than I was last year? I don't know. I think it's important to do that stuff to improve and just self-reflect and self-evaluate. And one of the ways I'm going to improve this year, I gotta get more sleep, man. I gotta get more sleep. I gotta make it a priority after we get Molly straight off the every 3-hour waking up baby eating schedule. I gotta get more sleep. And I got a friend to help me with that. My friends at Magic Mind are going to help me with that. They're going to help me get some sleep. We got this great thing, or I should say they got this great thing. They got the sleep performance. It's this little bottle, guys. It helps you with your sleep performance. It helps just ease your mind, helps relax you. It's just this great little, it's a little bottle. It's just a tiny little bottle that you drink every night. Brings you just clarity. It's going to give me a relaxed state, and it has that just helps me if I need it. On top of that, they got the mental performance shot, which you take in the morning, which I need. I got dad brain. It's cloudy. It's foggy. It's a mess. I need the performance shot in the morning. So you do performance shot in the morning. You do the sleep performance at night. It's a great 1-2 combo. And I highly recommend it. I'm not just saying this. It's been great. Brittany said it's done amazing wonders for me. She's like, your mind is sharper when you're on this. You're sleeping better when you take this. So get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle. You can get this 1-2 combo. Get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle with my link, which is magicmind.com/Andy Jan. Just my name. You see it there right on the screen. It'll be in the description of the podcast. ANDYJN for January. That's why it's Andy Jan. So once again, get 45% off the Magic Mind bundle with my link, magicmind.com/Andy Jan. Which, by the way, was not an option for Molly. We were going to call her Jan. So Georgia did not win out. So I told her from the start. I said, you're going to have an uphill battle. You're going to have an uphill battle with Georgia. And she really liked Molly. And it worked. And I'm glad I didn't say too much about the name. But we got Isla and Molly, and yeah, that's where I'm at, guys. I hope you know, I would love to hear, because I'm new to this. And I've gotten some great direct messages from people. I've gotten some great advice, some great tips. I'd love to hear from people who've got 2 kids or got 2 kids within a couple years like me. Give me a shout, the hotline. What is the hotline? Let's pull it up here. 859-935-0078. That's the hotline. Give a shout. I love the advice. I've been exchanging some text messages with friends who have kids, have 2 girls, have 2 boys, whatever it is. And it's all helpful. It really is. The truth is, this is where like I really miss my mom for advice. It sucks. And sometimes I think, what would my mom say? What would she do? What would my mom say to me? You have 5 boys. Again, harder times, man. That's what I said earlier in the show. Like, my mom was tough. I'm soft. I know that. Harder times. You had 5 boys, all within about 11 years. I got 2 little girls, which are a lot easier to handle, in my opinion, within 2 years. But I'll take all the advice I can get. Any person who can give me advice, any person who can give me a call, shoot me a message. It's like, what are some tricks of the trade you learned? Because we all have our tricks. We all have things we learned. And without that, I don't know where I'd be. But I'm happy. I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to check out this SNOO. I'm telling you guys got to check out this SNOO. I got some fun ideas I might do with the kids for some social content. But I want to bring this up real quick before I get out of here. I saw that they're remaking Goonies and Gremlins. Or they're doing a Goonies. What are they doing? They're doing a Goonies 3? No, a Gremlins 3, and they're not sure if they're going to remake Gremlins. Gremlins 3 is in development at Warner Brothers alongside a reboot of Goonies. I don't know how I feel about this. So Gremlins did a movie in 1984 and the sequel in 1990, which I remember seeing in the theater with my mom and 2 of my brothers. And they're talking about Goonies being remade. I don't know how I feel about remakes at this point with Hollywood. I just like, do you guys not have any ideas? Those were classics, especially Goonies is a classic. I know movies have been remade since the beginning of time. I know that. I know they remade so many old movies from the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and so on. I get that. And then they remade them in the 80s and 90s, and now they're going to remake them again. But it's just like, get some original ideas. Like, why do we have to remake Goonies? Is the world really looking for a Gremlins 3? Are we really doing that? Is there a demand? Is there enough people my age who will bring back nostalgia to see? What's the premise of Gremlins 3? What if instead of them touching water, they turn into gremlins? Wildfires turn too soon? Too soon? Turn them into gremlins? Just the entire state of California is just creating gremlins from all the wildfires. Which is just, they're just out of control. I don't even know what to tell people anymore. Like I'll be honest, guys, like when I go through everything this weekend, when like I'm in my own world with having a kid and dealing with all that stuff, it's like the outside world doesn't exist to me. I'm just being honest. Like Trump is inaugurated on Monday. Obviously, it's a new president, but an old president. My point is, like, I'm not, and I know that's getting all the news, all the headlines. I haven't watched a single. That's when I brought my daughter home from the hospital. I literally have not watched a single second of the inauguration, of any of the speakers. Now I see headlines. I'm on social media. I haven't clicked on anything though. Like I see headlines, I see things that are trending I'm just in my own world. I think once you start having a family, you get in your own world. The only consistency for me has been like sports, right? I'm in the hospital. I'm still watching the playoff games. I'm still doing deep dives on social media. It's funny when you start to have kids, what you really prioritize. And a lot of the other stuff, I just don't care about. Sports, I'll always love. And obviously, I host a sports podcast as well. But my point is, it's just like, I'm just like, yeah, cool. I guess he said what, or this politician said what, or this movie came out, whatever it is. That's I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But does anybody get my point? Especially when you have kids. Like I can't get worked up about what somebody said at an inauguration or a speech when I'm working on 2 hours sleep. It's not hitting me up here. It's not in my peripheral because I just don't care. I'm like, cool. I got a 3-day old. I'm just trying to get to sleep. And then I got a 2-year-old who is trying to understand all this, and I'm trying to find the best way to explain it. Whereas again, if you look back on my life just a few years ago, I was like, I got nobody to take care of. It's the easiest life ever. Easiest life ever. Dude, when you're single and you're living that, like, it's the easiest life ever. Even when I wasn't single, Brittany and I will laugh about that. We're like, remember the days when we didn't have kids? Which realistically wasn't that long in our relationship. It's like, remember those days? We just sit there and just sleep in, watch whatever shows we were watching, binge on some sort of series or binge on some movies, order pizza, order tacos. It was the easiest thing ever. And then, now it's like fast forward to last night. I'm up at 3 a.m. feeding Molly. 4 a.m. Isla's going psycho in her room. Got to go in there, console her. Leave the room. She starts going psycho again. Leave the room. She goes psycho again. Spend 30 minutes of that. Next thing you know, it's damn near 6 a.m. Molly's ready for another bottle feeding, another diaper change. You're just like, whoa. Do I really care what Elon Musk said at an inauguration? Nope. Don't care. I just need some sleep, son. Give me an adult SNOO. What's that? Is that just is that like an edible? Is the adult SNOO, is the version of an adult SNOO just an edible? Put me in a coma. I never understood until I had kids when friends would be like, dude, the best part about like a weekend away from my family is just sleep. like that's the best part. I'll never really sleep in probably again the rest of my life. Somebody put it best. They said, because not that I really slept in that much to begin with at this stage of my life, but the point was you don't sleep in when you have kids, and then when you get old, you don't sleep in. And I'm an old dad. So like by the time my kids are in college, I'll be in my 60s. And nobody starts sleeping in their 60s. So I'm like that's basically over for me. Sleeping in is donezo. The sleeping in days they're done. They're not happening. All right, guys. Speaking of sleep, I got to get me some sleep. It's been fun. Appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. Hopefully, you can give me some insight onto this two-time parenting, two-time girl dad thing. And I'm here for it. I'm here for all the help I can get. You guys have a great week. Reach out to me again at Andy Ruther. Drop me a review. Do whatever you want. I'm here for it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Much love. Much thanks. Peace out.